explanations, and then I'll tell, you know, I'm pretty pragmatic. I think there's some truth in many of these explanations, but it's still a little mysterious. But yeah, for the people who are watching the video, we were talking about there's this two types of explanations. Do the voices come from outside or come from inside? And I think, you know, everyone who hears voices, it feels like they're not from yourself, that they come from outside. But like for instance in some psychological thinking, they say, you know, but they recently discovered that many people who have a psychosis or who are to start hear voices or who have some mental problems, it turns out that they had seriously heavy things happening in their lives, you know, traumatic experiences, and these can be all kinds of things, like violence or sexual abuse or parents or loved ones dying at an early age.
Yeah, that's. Sorry if I interrupt again. But your mother died at a very early stage.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, zelfmoord ook, hè? Dat gaat ook heel erg.
Yeah.
Dat is onze.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So.
You hear her voice?
Well, now we get to the story. You know, I was here 10 years ago and I had this LSD trip.
Yeah.
And also at this, there was, you know, this LSD trip, and I was in front of the church, and I was thinking about my mother, you know, and she died really young and she committed suicide. But I was so young that I was not aware she was already a while outside of the house. She had a hemorrhage, hersenbloeding, and she was half paralyzed, and maybe because she couldn't cope with it, she flipped out, and they called her bipolar, manic depressive. And she went to a mental hospital, first to a physical hospital to recover from the hemorrhage, and then to a mental hospital. So, and I was 4 years old when she died, and I only maybe have one short memory of her. So, and my father remarried really quick with a nice lady who became a good mother to me. So, later on I had a really happy life and everything was going good. When I came to Rijkhoort, you know, my study went well, I had lots of good friends, and I was stable and happy. But during this trip I was thinking about my mother, like maybe I've been a bad child, I've been bad to her, that made her so unhappy also. Maybe I had part in this, you know. And that's when the first time I heard a voice, a woman's voice, say, but you didn't kill her. And yeah, that's right, I didn't kill her, but I wouldn't think of, in these terms, of me killing my mother, you know. And you know, it was a woman's voice, it was a thought I wouldn't think, and it was a woman's voice. If I would imagine it, it would take me a lot of effort, you know, to think of this, but this just came to me. And later on during this trip, other things happened. I also met an Indian, I think from South America, and I smoked a joint with God knows what in it. So I had a trance afterwards, but you know, after the trip, the voices didn't went away, and shortly after that I get a Reiki session from a friend who was here, American guy, and I reacted really heavy. I started crying and I had like spasms. And when he left the next day, at the same night, you know, the spasms came back, the crying came back, and you know, I had these visions and these strange sensations, and I heard these voices. So my life was different from then on, and I tried to cope with it in one way, and I tried to figure out what's going on here, you know. At one time I was going to the jazz club where I like to go, and I came back and I was chilling at home, and I heard the jazz club still. I heard the music and the people in my head. I was thinking, hey, this is chill, relaxed. And then some voices came in my head. They say, yeah, we're the police and we're gonna lock you up in the isolation cell. And I thought, like, what's this, you know? I was just, I was really, I stood up and and went singing inside, get up, stand up for your right. But 3 years later, I was in the isolation cell, you know? So after these months afterwards, I tried to cope with it as much as I could, and but I couldn't. I read some scary things about Illuminati and about, you know, secret society and evil stuff, and I thought there was this conspiracy against me, and I became afraid of the voices. While, you know, this woman voice, for instance, in the beginning, it wasn't saying a really bad thing. There was compassion in it. but just that the fact that I couldn't cope with voices in general, and I didn't have a meaning that would help me,
and a support system.
And you know, there's nobody in my environment who could, you know, had experience with it or had an advanced level of spirituality or open-minded or knowledge or understanding of this. So that's how I came into a psychosis.